You're watching the Tesla Live with your host, Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Live number 308, this 24th of May, 2023. Welcome, everyone, and Just Saying is first in the chat room, so hello to him. I wanted to say that every time I listen to that intro, more and more, and I'm thinking I'm entering the ring in an MMA match or something. But
a little bit.
Thank you, Patrick. And speaking of Patrick, he's joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, Tesla Nation. I'm good. It's a nice sunny day here. Kilowatt hours pouring down, known as sunshine, into the solar panels and into the batteries on the side of the house. It's good times.
Yeah,
excellent.
I can say the same with my Wish.com Powerwall.
And that, of course, is Casey, who's been snapping up batteries left, right, and center, filling this house.
No, these are the same batteries from before. I just took the rest of them out of storage.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
All right.
And this is the nice thing about a portable system.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna move my power walls. I'll have to buy new ones when I go.
Now, Casey, you're going to be stationary for a while. So, is there anything that you do differently with the batteries that you did at your previous place that you knew you were going to move in a month or two? Like, are you stacking them? Are you attaching them to the wall, or are they just sitting on the floor?
To the circuit panel, they've got a smart transfer switch. So if the power goes out, it'll automatically transfer over. But you can also pick 10 loads, and then you can program how they go. So I've got them set to match my power plan. So during the day, they run the house. Well, at least all 10 loads that they're attached to. And then at night, as soon as the sun goes down about 9 o'clock, I have them set to recharge to 80% and just hold that all night, just in case we have a storm or something. Mm-hmm. And then in the morning, right before the sun comes up, I have them finished to 100%. They're all LFP batteries, so it's fine to leave them at 100%. But anyway, I let them go to 100% at that point, and then they coast through the day. And then I just added one of the 400-watt solar panels. I've got 3 of them. With HOA and all that. So I added one of them on the back porch to the system, and it kind of tops off during the day, and I end up with about 40% in each unit by the end of the night.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, let's get to the news of the week. No shortage of that, as per usual. And the first story we're going to talk a little bit about is about this deal that Tesla has presented to the government of India about a Gigafactory build. Now, we know that Tesla has looked at India before, a couple of years ago, about putting a Gigafactory there. And I believe the plan they wanted to see was there actually a market there first? And that at that time, Tesla said, "Why don't you drop your import tax because it's 100%, and get it down to something reasonable, and we can see if people will actually buy the Tesla. We'll build some superchargers around some cities. We'll do some testing." And India said, "No, we're not going to do that." So at that point,
pennies to pick up, or $600 to pick up pennies.
So at that point, it all stopped. Tesla pulled out their employees that were doing the testing, and everything just came to a stop. But now recently, since Giga Mexico was named, there's been more information coming out that Tesla has interest. There was a meeting with the president of India, apparently, just a little while ago. Elon met with him. There was there's been a few articles talking about how Tesla's going to announce another Gigafactory by the end of this year. So India seems to be on the list. Now, Tesla apparently has submitted something to the government of India to say, here's the conditions we need in order to build a Gigafactory in your nation. And here's the stipulations that we require. So this is like any other negotiation. They're going to be looking at the pros and cons, and there'll probably be some additional, giving and receiving and updating of this agreement. But it's kind of interesting. I'm still hoping for Giga Canada. I can't say that enough. But if it's India, it's India. I get it. But we'll get one eventually.
Did they say they needed per continent when the original Giga broke ground?
I
was announced, I
don't
should say.
recall the number. Was it 4?
I think it was like 3 or 4 per continent. So there's a chance.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
So-
not. They've already got 3 in the U.S. but not 3 that make cars.
And
That's right.
they're also talking to France, so it's not a done deal that it's going to be India. I mean, that's
though.
anytime you're doing something like this, you want to have multiple people bidding
Yeah.
for it and just take the best offer. So
If you thought Germany was hard, France is going to be something you
Yeah.
didn't predict.
That's going to be
They
fun.
like their vacations and their unions, and not that there's anything against the union, but if you thought the German union was hard, France will burn
Yes.
shit.
Yes, indeed. So we'll see how this goes, and if any other competitors are going to be thrown into the mix. That would be interesting if they. I know that they've talked about. They've also had another country was, I think, South Korea. They had some talk about it. There was some talk about it, but again, it's like Patrick said, it's probably best to have a number of horses in the race and see who's running the fastest to pick. So we shall see.
Love that. South Korea.
Yeah. Now, last week we talked a little bit about putting a poll up. So we ran that poll during the week, and I do have the results that we can share here.
So this was about where Tesla should place its advertisements?
Exactly. So we asked what was the best place for Tesla to share their money for advertising. And as you can see, we got about 250 votes. And social media, surprising me, got half the vote, a little bit over half. We got television sitting at 38%, billboard outdoor advertising at 1.2, that's the low liar, and then event sponsor at just over 10%. So that's where the votes lie. Now, I would say if you do social media, it has to be something that's, not Twitter. That's
Right.
that's not geared already to Elon's fans. That everybody there knows about Tesla.
Right.
Like there's no, like, maybe you could go after the older crowd by going to, say, Facebook, or you could pick something else that's more specialized. But I think
Instagram, but I don't see Elon approving.
I think Twitter or YouTube.
YouTube would be
Like
great.
there's a lot of people doing free advertising for Tesla right now on YouTube. So
Sure.
I don't think that the influencers on YouTube are going to help you to spend that money effectively. But
but you can target certain demographics, and you could put that in front of people that wouldn't have otherwise seen, because all the people that you're talking about who are like putting out content like we are, it's Tesla fans that come find this. So if you put it on other channels that are doing nothing related to Tesla, and you have the ad there, maybe that would be more effective.
Right, or even just cars, because they want to be the best car in the world.
That's true. That's true. I didn't think of that. That there is a number of different avenues on YouTube where people don't talk about Teslas at all. It could be you could certainly find a number of those avenues. YouTube is filled with every subject you can think of.
Ooh.
It's hard to believe that there are people that are not YouTubing about Tesla. I don't understand this. Why would anybody talk about anything else?
Another good idea for them would be to, if they do YouTube, would be to put it on before and during Fudsters videos.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Like they're talking all this trash, and then you show them like the truth. That's fire. You can't go far. Like, here's how you plan a trip. I want to go to Disney. Boom. Like, and then it shows you like the trip planner in the car, or
right,
Fido's in the car using pet mode.
It's almost a wasted effort to go after people who are anti whatever. Right.
Not the people who are watching it, who don't necessarily know and are taken in by all the bull crap.
Okay, yeah. If you
to give people an opposing view during the YouTube anti-Tesla
Right, you got
talk.
somebody there railing against Tesla and saying how we should all wear hair sweaters and how it's not good enough and we're still mining, blah blah blah. And you say, oh yeah, well here's the mining you would do after you don't need gasoline anymore, and here's how it actually works with your car, with your pet in the car. If it's good enough for your kid, definitely good enough for the pet.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're thinking about next week's poll, but Tesla throwing out facts is only going to get you so far. You need to get an emotional response from people. So I think they should go after more of that. All the fun things about it. And sure, they can have. You can throw in those factoids somewhere or have a link for more information or whatever. But you need to focus on freedom to drive, the performance, the thrill, I don't know, there's all the things that really sell stuff. The nerdy stuff, as much as I love it works on me, but I know I'm at the wrong end of that spectrum of for the mass market.
But you already have two, and you're pretty well maxed out. So
exactly, yes.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to go to Patrick next for our next story, and it's about Tesla brand loyalty.
That's right. Yes, we were just talking about this. So hopefully this makes some more. This article comes to us from Teslarati, and it's titled, Tesla Continues to Dominate Industry in Brand Loyalty. And it is written by William Johnson. So there's a new report from Citibank, and they have found that Tesla now leads the automotive industry in brand loyalty by a wide margin. Tesla has surpassed the traditional leader, which is Ford, and they are now pulling away from the pack. So they are further ahead than they've ever been. Tesla has a brand loyalty of roughly 67%. This is 20 points higher than the industry average of 46%. So that means that about 2/3 of Tesla owners are likely to buy a Tesla as their next vehicle, whereas with the rest of the industry, it's a coin flip. Yeah, and I always when they say something like the industry average is 46%, well, that industry average includes Tesla because it's the entire industry. So what's the average sans Tesla? That would be even more interesting. The last line here, I thought was interesting. That Citi found that the most loyal Tesla owners were Model 3 owners, that the least loyal were Model S owners.
Depending when you bought your Model S, those old ones broke a lot.
Right. But those were also the people that were there early. Mm-hmm. So when they say Model S owner, is this like the third Model S owner? Or is this so I'm not sure how the pie was sliced to get to that.
Old Model S that needs a lot of repairs, as a second or third owner, you might not be as...
Or you might be thrilled that you got the car for 30% of what it costs new.
Well, there's that. But I mean, like the ones that would switch, they might be like, oh man, I'm tired of this. Or if you were really early, I was kind of in the middle and I went through 6 door handles on one car, which again, in the grand scheme of all the stuff that can go wrong in a car, that's nothing. But it could have been enough to annoy somebody to try something else. But the very earliest, they might be early bleeding edge adopters that might have tried out some of the new stuff that came out.
Right. Yeah. And Model S is not a cheap vehicle, so there's some well-heeled owners, so they can afford to, I'm going to go try whatever, a Lucid
something else next
Rivian
month.
or
A marked up Hummer.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting though. But the weird thing is, I know there's a lot of Tesla fans who had Model S's and are still Tesla fans today. So I found that interesting. I kind of figured that I would have guessed opposite, that Model 3s are more affordable car, and that would be people who might try the new, I don't know, Nissan Ariya or some other thing for their next vehicle, or a Bolt, or but yeah, this was interesting to see that it was not what I guessed it would have been.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware that Ford was the previous leader. That's kind of interesting too for a brand.
If you look at the F-150 stats, it would be easy enough to guess. But to see it written down, I didn't know for sure either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Chevy has a strong following, so I mean that it could have been them as well. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And Patrick's got the next story, because we didn't shuffle them correctly, obviously. But there's a little conversation here about a certain analyst from a bank that was impressed.
Right. So this one's also from Teslarati. It's titled Tesla Giga Texas wins over analyst with manufacturing prowess, but there's a catch. So
there's always a catch.
Yeah, that's right. So someone from Deutsche Bank got to go on a tour of Giga Texas, and lucky them. Anytime they do this stuff with the banks, it should be streamed live and available for all of us to see. They shouldn't be getting insider information that I don't get. But that's another rant. Let's get back to this story.
I'm sure your appointment's next week, Patrick. Don't worry.
However, if they did it to us, then Citi would be suing them.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So I guess it pays to be a big bank that could invest a chunk of money instead of just. Anyway, that's not the topic of this. So this analyst, Emmanuel Rosner, walked away impressed with Giga Texas. Says it's well designed, runs efficiently, and they were looking at Cybertruck related projects. That tooling is going on and the vehicles being ramped up. And then outside of Cybertruck, Tesla continues to install more production and manufacturing capacity at the plant. That makes sense. There's a lot of room for them to grow. And so that's not surprising to hear that they're doing a lot of growing at Giga Texas. I'm sure the same thing is happening in Giga Berlin. So this is going to help them get to millions of units, hopefully 2 million this year and 3 million next year. So the one thing, though, there was a drawback. Rosner was concerned in the short term that the economy is not doing well and that this might eat into Tesla's margins in the short term. So it's funny that there's been a lot of focus from analysts on Tesla's margins. And yes, they were down in their last call, but they were still ahead of everybody else's. So what does that mean? That means Tesla has pricing power. Anyway, I kind of find this a ridiculous statement. When we've had economic downturns in the past, and I'm thinking of like a long time ago when .bomb happened. There was the .com explosion in the 90s, and then the collapse in the early 2000s, and the strong companies survived that. Who died? Their competition that wasn't in a great place, which then did what? Opened up those customers to the companies that did survive. So if you're coming at this from a position of strength, an economic downturn, yes, it's bad, but it also could actually accelerate and push you further ahead. So anyway, I view that completely different from this analyst, obviously. Anyway, so that was the gist of it. There was one midterm point in here I wanted to... midterm, Tesla confirmed that it's working on developing 2 new models of its next generation platform and represents the highest priority at present. So they're working hard on Model Next, which I thought was interesting. And they're targeting a combined 5 million a year volume on those. So that's interesting. What are the 2 that they're working on? Model Next and that same platform for something else? What else is that going to be?
Robotaxi.
Yeah, although that seems like it would really be the same platform, just different software, whether you release it as a robotaxi or sell it as an end consumer vehicle. So I'm thinking it's got to be something else.
Well, it could be the sheet was a van shape, right?
Right.
We had seen a sheet. That could be the robotaxi. Maybe the taxi that we're thinking of is that it's too small. If you've got a van-like vehicle, it could double as like an airport pickup. It could be one of these. It could be in the Las Vegas tunnels. It could be a vehicle that would allow you to do multiple runs, almost like a Uber share type thing, and have less vehicles, haul more people. Could be a van is the robotaxi.
Yeah, that a van is a really interesting idea because you have one configuration that is for hauling people, and then you take out those seats, and you have another one that's for hauling goods. I I think you're right.
Partition and some insulation, and now you get a refrigerated container.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. So, so it's June is in the chat room, and of course June just got herself a Model Y and has been having fun with it, and just got a free trial for FSD for a month. So
Awesome.
have fun with that. I'm sure you'll enjoy.
How'd you get a free month of FSD? I didn't know that was a. What's that?
But what do we want to tell June? What do we want to tell
Join the
June
beta.
about FSD beta? Right? What do
It
we want
is
to tell
beta.
her? Yeah.
Yes.
And
pay attention.
always pay attention.
Yes.
Never, ever drift off and do something else. Be vigilant in your operation of that vehicle and the monitoring of what's going on.
Yes, it's getting better, but it's not perfect, and
It's not perfect.
It does make mistakes. Yep, be careful.
That's true.
Now
here's another.
June said it came with the latest download.
What's that, KZ? With the download?
June said it came with the latest download.
Oh, okay. That's the new month is the option that they give you.
Nice.
So, and Elon, of course, has said once they get FSD down pat and move to the next stage, they're going to give a month free to everyone in North America. Apparently.
Is this the start of that, or
no?
Or
It's
is
not.
It just
It's not the
when
start
you
of it.
when you just a perk of buying it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that hasn't started officially. So that must be just a perk currently of buying a new Tesla.
Awesome.
I only got a week, so a month is great.
Yeah.
Another story of interest, and this kind of relates to a story we've done in the past. There's a company in New York City called Revel, which has purchased basically a fleet of Model Ys that they've modified on the inside to be basically taxis. They've got a driver. They've got the front seat removed, so there's more room in the back for the passengers. And they've got a monitor facing the passengers. It's done up very nicely. Anyways, one of the old drivers does not work for the company anymore, has decided that he is suing Tesla for unintended acceleration. And we have this is really old news for people suing Tesla for this unintentionalized acceleration. And of course,
the week before, the guy in China who, like, on a million different cameras on CCTV, had to apologize publicly.
Yeah, and just happened in Vancouver, Canada, where someone slammed into a ferry dock and said it was the car's fault. That was just proven that it was not the car's fault. Here's the issue: with other vehicles, you can get away with this for a certain amount of leeway, but with a Tesla, where everything is recorded and saved and put onto a hard drive somewhere, that's not going to fly, because they're going to be able to look at the pedal position. They're going to look at the pedal position before the accident, 10 seconds before, 10 seconds after. They're going to be able to see all these incremental changes to the car. And anyone that's claiming that the car took off on them, this data is going to be analyzed. And I have a feeling that this one, just like the one in Vancouver, is going to be pointed at driver error. Because the physical pedals and actions of the car are recorded, and that comes back in the court case where they can prove, here's the position things were in before, during, and after the accident.
Yeah.
So,
and they've been claiming this even before Autopilot came out, and every single time, especially in the beginning, they'd be like, "Oh, it accelerated on its own," and Tesla's like, "No, it didn't." And they're like, "Yeah, I'm sure you did." Tesla's like, "Are you sure? Because it didn't." And then they'd say, "Yeah," and then Tesla said, "All right, in 5 seconds, the wheels turned at 37 degrees to the left. At 4 seconds, the pedal was applied at 25%. At 3 seconds, the pedal was applied at 100%. At 2 seconds, there was an impact, and at 2 seconds after the collision, the driver let the pedal go."
Yeah, I think Tesla understood that they're going to have to be a database company from a very early age, especially when that guy said that his battery just caught on fire in his Model S while he was sitting in an intersection. Later, it was found out that he discharged a gun and shot it through the battery pack. And that's probably where the fire came from. But after that, they probably said, "Listen, we're recording everything because this is just insane. We've got to keep tabs on what's going on to save our name and to prove to people that that electric cars are safe and can be used in all instances. So
and then there was the several incidents that got us the titanium shielded for the battery pack on the Model S Max.
Right.
Where,
Those were real issues.
real.
Hitting debris on the road.
Yeah.
So interesting. We have the selfie camera in the car now for driver monitoring, but when do we get the pedal cam so that we can actually watch people's feet and record that?
What a boring camera that would be the majority of time, right?
But do we even need it?
Let me watch the
got
pedal
three
cam.
sensors on each pedal.
Right. Yes. It only records about 3 minutes, and whenever the airbag's deployed, that's when it stops recording and saves.
Yeah, but right now, as it is, you've got 3 sensors on each pedal, and if they don't all agree, the car doesn't move. It just
wow.
Yeah.
So it's not a minority report. They all have to be.
They need quorum.
They all have to be.
Yeah.
They all have to be in agreement. Next, Casey, can you do this story about the Cyberquad?
Probably.
This of course, is a story about keeping hopes alive.
Yes. So Tesla has renewed their exclusive use of the Cyberquad IP and the trademark, and so it keeps hope alive. This is not just one of the things that Elon says.
Yeah. So there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about Cyberquad, but then again, when it showed up in the Cybertruck and it's taken this long to get to Cybertruck production,
right?
There's probably, you don't want to say much about a Cyberquad. You just you want to get the truck out there,
right? And it's so much smaller, you could probably hide it a lot better inside those ginormous factories.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so if you've made thousands of quads with a bunch of angular sheets on them, and you were just waiting for Teslas to expire so you could grab that name and start shipping them. Too bad. You just missed out.
You just lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to drop. You have to come up with a new angular name because Cyberquad has been renewed for the trademark.
Spell it with an I.
See if
that works. Cyberquid.
Now, here's another story that kind of leads us down the path of Project Highland, I would say, is that this notification that was put out there that Tesla's now offering discounts in US and Canada for Model 3s that are in current inventory. And this discount is just over $1,000 that they're offering on the different vehicles. So it might be a sign that there could be some newer Model 3s coming shortly, because Tesla does not tend to give out discounts on vehicles that are in inventory unless there's something coming to replace them.
Yeah, the only time you usually see that is end of the quarter or right after an incentive has disappeared, just to ease people out, so they'll still continue to buy. But just in the middle, randomly like this, it's rare.
Yeah.
Right. So I think again, I'm going to agree with Mark. I think you've called
what twice in a show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're way better than Russell. Yeah, I think they're clearing out the pipeline, because if something newer, better comes out, you have this old stuff that's obviously not as good, you would have to deeply discount it. So instead, they can do a small discount now, clear out that pipeline, and then announce something new, and not have a bunch of existing stock that they have to mark down 30% to get rid of.
Especially when it's in your inventory, it's a little bit nicer when they're just in transit. But even then, you got to worry about people aborting an order right in the middle of your transport of it. Now you've got them piling up at the stores anyway.
Yeah, so and there was that talk last week and the week before about Tesla modifying lines at Fremont. So that's another kind of push to what are they doing? Are they moving machinery around for what reason? Because maybe the process of putting the car together is a little bit different. Maybe there's less parts. Maybe there's something that's going on with the Highland modification on that line as well. So that's I would say that if this is a clearing out of the line for the reasons that something else newer is coming, if this is a clean out of what they have in inventory, how long would you suspect that to take? Would it be a couple weeks? Would it be a month?
I would just look at their number of days of inventory, which is less than a month, and there you go.
So you say a month.
Way less than a month. Whatever their days of inventory is, like, is it 14 days, 20 days?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a high volume
not only did
vehicle.
they apply for changes at Fremont, they also applied for changes at Shanghai.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, this is not going to be like the Model S redesign where they stopped production, then they waited a year, and then we started it. No, not with their high volumes. They're not going to.
Shouldn't have been done with the Model S either, but definitely do not want to do this with the Model 3. And of course, the other thing that is rumored on the horizon is that the Model 3 will come back with possibly the next version of the long range too. So that's been suspended for this amount of time, and they will have a long range that would be attached as well. So that is definitely what we believe is coming when this Highland does launch. It may ramp just like everything else, but we expect that the long range should be arriving shortly thereafter. So, Casey's gone. Yeah, I noticed he was frozen for a little while previous to that. So we'll skip his story and jump to the next one as we would.
Before we leave this one, there's a rumor that the new Model 3 will be stockless. And
that's right.
I'm curious if one, would people want that, and two, do our viewers think it's really going to be stockless or not? So leave your comment down below, because I'm curious. I don't know if that's a good idea for a high volume vehicle or not. Once it can drive itself more, maybe, but I don't know if this is a car that appeals more to the masses. You don't want to have those you want to have it be comfortable and familiar, but those kind of thoughts have never slowed Tesla down, or they would have a normal instrument cluster. So maybe they are willing to do it, right? I mean, and I love this.
True.
Yeah, I love the screen. So I mean, that they were willing to throw away tradition and do something new. Maybe they will.
But I do have to put up the counter argument, which was it's no longer a yoke that comes standard with the Model S and X. So obviously they couldn't push the majority of people into taking that yoke as their go-to wheel. There are a lot of people that as soon as they offered the option of switching back, a lot of people took them up on that. In fact, so many that they ran out of parts quite quickly. And of course, now they've switched back that you initially get the round wheel that comes with the car, and you pay extra if you want the yoke. So I don't know. Tesla can push in some ways. The central screen is definitely an example of that. You can't have a speedometer over to the right. That won't work. Well, yes, it does work, and it's been fine. But there are other things that they've miscalculated on as well. And I think that stockless, it's tough. It's tough, Patrick.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd enjoy it. But is it because can't change that quickly? I don't know. Having the left and right indicator on the steering wheel, I think that would bother me. But
I'm willing to give it a try. I haven't tried it yet, so but going through a roundabout, when I know that
and I think we're getting back. There we go.
All right, cool, we're back.
My modem turned off.
Oh,
sorry about that.
That was interesting. Well, Casey's got our next story. Talk a little bit about FSD and what's going on with it. There was a story that just came out this week that will make some people happy because they've been so far excluded from getting that FSD beta. It appears the doors have opened now.
That story I don't have.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Casey, because you just rebooted.
I can take it if you want.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, so let me get this over here. So another Teslarati, if I can speak. Tesla FSD beta rollout to new testers resumes with latest update. So this is pretty cool. So after the TSA said, "Hey, you guys have to fix some things in this program," Tesla stopped allowing new drivers, and I like the way that they called them testers in the program. And take note, June, that if you're doing this, you're a tester. Yes, it is not a final product, and so I don't know if they say how many people were in the program.
They don't.
Right. Yeah, which is too bad because we've seen estimates all over the place, up to 100,000 people, and now more people will get to join in on this. So the company stated that no new testers will be added to the FSDBeta fleet as part of that recall. The recall was quickly resolved, but they did not resume letting people into the program. And we don't know why. We don't know if it was just the amount of data they could ingest. They had enough testers, or what their reasoning was. So now that is started again. So if you've been waiting to get FSD Beta on your vehicle, this is your chance. If you have a good safety score and it's in you're in a region of the world that allows this, you might soon be joining the people having fun with it. And it has been a blast to see with each iteration where it gets better. Sometimes there's areas where it gets worse depending on what they were tuning for. We've talked several times in here how there were two spots where it just did the wrong thing for me, and I was able to report those repeatedly, and now they work great. It knows how to merge where it was trying to do this weird thing where it would change lanes as it was trying to merge, and but now it's working great. So if you join the program, you'll get to see these last steps as they polish off all of these rough edges. There you go.
Yeah, it's good too, because on our Twitter feed sometimes we get questions, and of course if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do that at the Tesla Life. But we've received questions in the past as to, hey, I just bought my Tesla. Where's FSD Beta? I've gone in and selected I want it. When do I get it? When do I get it? And we're back.
Casey's back. Yeah.
So was that the modem again, Casey? Or is that something else?
It was like I plugged it into a different battery, and that battery died.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so it's good that some more people are going to be given this, and of course the people that have been waiting and not knowing why, well, that's why. It's because there was a halt put on it. Weren't sure for the exact reason after they got those problems updated that the government wanted changed, but now it is there's more being added to the list.
The reason for the hold after the fix was implemented was because then there was a version mismatch where FSD was on 2022 version, but the cars were on 2023, and Tesla rarely rolls the car back. Even when there's something actually physically wrong, they'll usually just roll you even further forward. They don't like to roll you back for it's rare.
Right. So they had to get all those. They had to, now that they've made changes to fix the software, they had to get all that synchronized, and in the latest version. Okay, that makes sense. Although, there's. And then once you make a software change like that, you have to go through and test it, have it tested in shadow mode, make sure it's behaving properly, get miles on it, and
And the reason all of us old fogies were able to keep it was because our cars were still on that same 2022 version. So 2022.7.11, no big deal. But to go from 2023 to whatever down to 2022, it wasn't really likely to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Good that they've at least started to roll this out again, and we'll grow the numbers. And of course, if you have any experience with it, let us know how you felt. I'm going to be interested to hear how June finds it, and anybody else that's new that's received it. Love to hear your comments on the system, being that you just started now. It'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are right out of the box when you start using it.
It's gonna be a lot scarier when you're jumping in with the cars able to do all of this versus like me and Patrick, where we were like as we went in, like stuff was added a step at a time, added, and so you just kind of get used to it. It's like when I got my Model X, it didn't even have cruise control. This was a serious regression from my Model X, my Model X 2S to the Model X, which had cruise control and lane keep and lane change and all that. Before I lost connection, I heard you mention that. Did I lose you again? Okay,
No,
I heard you mention that that we weren't sure how many people had it, but we do have a clue in the recall for North America, U.S. and Canada. We at least know the continental U.S. how many people were using it at that time.
They said the recall affected 362,000 vehicles.
Yeah.
So does that mean that was 362,000 people using FSDBeta?
Or it was 362,000 that had the option of using it if they wanted to.
Like it was downloaded, yeah.
Right. They had that version of the software installed, which doesn't mean they were
actually using
users. It does put a cap on it. We know it wasn't more than 400,000.
Right.
But but we don't know where. Yeah.
But we also know that more people had paid, because even before they put the halt on it, there were still people on 2023 versions waiting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Next, we're going to talk about a little trip across the Pacific Ocean, and a second ship has left Giga Shanghai on its way to Vancouver, Canada. Apparently, it's with the ship's manifest. We know where it's going, and we know when it'll arrive. And these, of course, are going to be Tesla's made at Giga Shanghai, sold in Canada. And we've got some additional speculation as to why this is happening, and it's going on at this time, because some surmise that because of the U.S. Credit that's being offered, Tesla is trying to sell as many vehicles made in the United States to Americans to collect the credit, whereas in Canada, it's not part of it. So we up here in Canada, we get our credit no matter where the vehicle's made. So it works for Canadians to get a Chinese car, and Americans get more cars to be sold in their country, and Tesla gets to collect extra rebates because of that. So this may be just because Tesla's trying to maximize the credit system that has been placed in front of them. So that may be the reason that Canada has now started to receive Giga Shanghai cars that it's never done before. So, and that seems pretty logical, actually, that that is probably what is going on. Yeah.
There's also talk that that Tesla has now started installing BYD blade batteries in some of their LFP cars, in addition to 4680s that might have LFP, as well as what we already saw with the cattle batteries, the CATL. So the blade batteries are an interesting development, but again, they have that same problem of being Chinese, so you don't really want to ship a bunch of them to the U.S. So
yeah, and of course the BYD batteries apparently are a little bit better than the cattle batteries when it comes to charging speed. Apparently the cattle drops off quite quickly from top speed, and the blade apparently holds its longer, faster charge for a longer period of time. So, but again, new battery infrastructure in another car that's the same, and you as the consumer shouldn't have to know, what type of battery is there going to be different rates of charge, for example. Remember originally the news from Tesla was charge up to 80%, and that's it, unless you're going on a trip. But when the LFP showed up, then it was charge as high as you want, as often as you want.
Make sure you get 100% once a month.
Yeah,
on the LFPs.
And then now with BYD rolled into the mix, now the consumer's going, which one do I have?
Just listen to the car.
There's, Canada will now have 3 different types of batteries within its borders. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting as Tesla is getting all these different batteries from different manufacturers, but there could be an issue about people knowing what they've got and how to operate them. As maybe 3 isn't the max. Maybe we'll
It's
have
not, 'cause
five as time goes along, or 10.
You've got Giga Nevada, and you've got LG, Samsung, and I do believe they got one with Sanyo. I don't know if all of those are going in Model 3, but those are companies they have contracts that they are buying batteries from.
Right, but I don't think you have to get into that level of nitty
Oh no,
gritty
just
as an
know if
owner.
you need to charge to 90%, if you charge to 100%.
Exactly, that's what you need to know. Do I have the ones that I charge to 100% or the ones that I charge to 80% unless I'm on a road trip? And
Yeah, and the car will show you.
Yeah.
You go
Is
to
it
the energy,
NMC
it'll say
or
trip.
is
If it
it-
doesn't say trip, then charge to 100%.
Right, exactly, and that's so. If you want to nerd out and dive into this, as a lot of us Tesla enthusiasts do, go for it. That's great. But as for end consumers, let's keep that message simple and make sure that they know just this one thing that I need to do to take care of my batteries. Or if you're leasing it or whatever, just charge to 100% and don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's somebody else's problem. Those are second owner problems.
Drive it like a
I'm
rental.
curious, though, if the BYD is one of the 100% or one of the 90%.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine that when you look at other people's LFPs, they don't say charge to 100% except Tesla. So I imagine Tesla will also say you charge the BYDs all the way up to.
Yeah. And I forgot that I actually looked in a vehicle that had LFP this past winter.
Mhm.
And of course, their charge screen is a little bit different than my charge screen. So the car knows what it is immediately.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And if you aren't charging enough to the 100% on the LFPs, it'll kind of pop up a box. Yeah, you need to charge 100%. How about now?
Yeah, which is ideal. The car should be
Right.
telling you about those time periods, so you don't have to remember about it. It'll just remind you. That's perfect. Next, Casey's got a story about. I think it's about him, really.
So the headline is Tesla owners drive more than any other EV owners, with the Model X leading the pack. Study. All right, so we've got a nice little chart here. This is coming from Drive Tesla Canada. IC cars, not like icy cars, but like
Not icy cars,
Right.
IC cars.
They looked at data from 860,000 vehicles to determine which EVs are racking up mileage faster than others over a 3-year period. And let's take a look at this chart here. Let me share my screen.
I wonder how they're getting the data.
Well,
No one's pulling data from my car.
That you know
Definitely
of.
not from
Oh my
pulling from my
God.
car. All right, so you'll notice that Model X is leading the pack. Average miles a year, 10,378. With this would be phenomenal if I could do this 341 miles per hour.
Well,
My
that is
car's-
still the EPA rating. Whether or not you can do it,
No, my
That's not what it
EPA
says.
did that. Mine came from the factory with 289 on the clock, and then actually I told them not to. They did it anyway. Charged it 100%, and it said 286 on the dash. Before I immediately changed it to percentage, and it doesn't get anywhere close to that now either. But as you all have heard from my adventuring, I still do the miles just like every other Model X, apparently, because that is nice. Followed up very closely by the Model Y at 10,199. So something about these crossovers, something like this family minivan style vehicle, this crossover might want to go on road trips. And then you Model 3 owners don't seem to be as adventurous, just 99.60. And then Model S is even less than that because they're executive saloon, blah blah blah. So the Teslas are clean sweep on place 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next up is the Hyundai Kona and the Chevrolet Bolt. Bolt I get, that's a lot harder to. It charges slower.
Those people have to work for that mileage, let me tell you.
Yes.
right? Without a supercharger network, it is really hard to do road trips,
Especially when you do find a charger and you can only charge at 50 kilowatts.
Right. Yeah, that makes
you
us
gotta park your car
I don't want to do
because
this
of fire
again. Yeah, we took the Nissan Leaf on a few road trips, and it's a lot of work.
And
that
interesting
explains why
enough,
Leaf was
the
at
most
place 11,
expensive-
right above the Porsche Taycan. And I imagine
that's
it's
the other
because
thing
the
I was
Taycan
gonna
is
mention.
flying everywhere because they've got the money to just.
They don't take it anywhere. It's just it's a trailer queen, so it sits in their
Right.
garage, right?
Despite having more than double the range of the Leaf, they don't get the time.
Right. So
Yeah, and-
this is funny
and-
because
and I think-
model.
go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
Okay. I also have a Model X. It's a 2016. I bought it new, and it only has 50,000 miles on it. So I'm bringing down the average.
Yeah, both of us are bringing down the range.
yeah. It's been, they've been 50,000 miles of fun, but there are some people that do 50,000 a year, and I don't know anybody like that. This guy.
But yeah, that's kind of interesting. And of course, the article points out that Tesla has two of the main factors that they believe drives them to people to drive more, which is one, the vehicles have pretty well the optimum long range of any EV to start with when you buy the car. And of course, the second one we all know well is that the supercharger network is basically everywhere you want to go. So if a long trip is in your future, you don't have to think about it. You just get in a car, you tell the computer where you want to go, and it'll route you through that mass supercharger network and get you to your destination with no mess, no fuss.
That's really three things, because you can't really count the routing as being part of the supercharger network. As we saw on the Rivians, they actually started including the superchargers in their software. So what it'd really be is the long range to start with, the fact that superchargers are everywhere, and then combine that with the inbuilt trip planner. You don't need to pull out an app. You can if you want to. You don't need to. You just literally say, "Hey, take me to Disney World," and then there you're going, without any prior thought. Just all you need is enough energy to get out of town or to the next charger before you leave town.
Yeah, the other bonus is that when you do say that to the trip planner, it takes account everything. So if you haven't gone home yet and charged up for the evening, it's assuming you're leaving now. So guess what? You're stopping at a supercharger just outside of town because it wants to get you up to optimal amount of range to get you to the next one. And that's one thing that the three of us know, because we've driven other EVs for a long time previous to Tesla. And we had to do all that trip planning in our head, if not with pencil and paper. To write things down and memorize and triple check what's going on and where we're stopping and how long we're stopping and what's plan B and what's plan C. I remember getting into Tesla the first time almost 5 years ago for our first trip. And I said, well, that's it. I just tell it where to go and that's it. I don't have to plan anything else like I had with my other car. That's it.
And then later on, they started planning. It lets you know, hey, you're entering a heavy rainstorm with wind. All right, we're going to change the charging plan. Hey, one of your tires is low. We're going to change the charging plan. Or hey, that supercharger we were taking you to is suddenly full. So how about this one on the other side of town? Or this one that was full is now open. So now this is more optimal. You're going here.
Yeah. And then even if you wanted to ignore it because you wanted to stop someplace else,
slow down.
You could stop someplace else. You could charge up at that other place and get to see the site you wanted to see. And as soon as you get back in the car, it says, okay, whole new plan. We're going to reshuffle the deck because now you have X amount of miles less on your battery. That'll get you to this point, which will get you to this point. So
that was always a pain by hand.
It's amazing. It really is.
Redo all of it. Oh, man.
It's something that we as early EV drivers knew only too well, and we were nerds. We were happy to do it, but I remember that I was thinking, man, my family would never do this. There's not a chance that one of my daughters would do this, or my wife. They have no interest in doing what I'm doing. But I was happy to do it. But no,
$20 a gallon gas, they would do it, but. Beyond that,
maybe.
I don't want every road trip to be a math problem. I was told there would be no math. With Tesla, there isn't. You just tell it where you want to go, and it tells you how to get there.
Fun stuff. Well, I think that's where we'll stop tonight's podcast. Certainly, if you've been with us this long, please give us a thumbs up below. If you haven't already subscribed, press that subscribe button. That helps us out immensely. Doesn't cost you a dime and really helps us out. We would appreciate that. And if you have a comment on the show, please write it into the comments. We love to see your comments through the week. So please do so. With that, Casey, what do you got going on this week that you'd like to let the good people know about?
Well, we've got some more of this off-gridding and green life, and then we've got our chat on Sunday where we talk about all this stuff. So you can catch us at youtube.com/CaseyGreen, @CaseyGreen, and at 1:10 Eastern on Sundays, and join us there for a little while.
Very good, very good. And Patrick, what have you got for the folks at home?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. I have one up there right now. So we were just talking about how we were into EVs early on. And back when I first started driving an EV, there was no infrastructure to speak of. You had to do guerrilla charging. You had to find friends' dryer outlets, and I knew this spot at the library where they had plugs that were out in the lawn that they used for tools, and I'm like, I can get a few kilowatts there, and but nowadays I just put up a blog post that shows all the spots around the U.S. This is from energy.gov, and so Oregon just recently joined the rest of the West Coast states in declaring that they would stop allowing new passenger vehicle gas-powered car sales in 2035. And so there was a whole bunch of response to that saying, but there's no infrastructure. And that is no longer true. There is so much more infrastructure than there used to be. So people who are arguing that either just haven't updated their priors and don't know, or they're arguing from bad faith. So this blog post is to say, here's the data. Go look up your area if you're in the U.S. And you can say, no, look, here's a map. When we used to do community outreach events and Earth Day events and National Drive Electric Week, and I would actually print out a map of this state that had all the charging spots on them, and had that as a big poster behind us. And now you can just look it up online and see for your own area. So check that out, carswithcords.net. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Very good.
Your first EV had magnet charge, didn't it? The paddles.
Yes. And so it was a 65-pound charger that I had to charge.
That was your mobile connector.
Yes, and I had to, and you had to plug it into 240, and I had one mounted in my garage, and I had one that I had strapped. Yes, so the other one I had strapped to a hand truck so that I could wheel it around to get it to the places that I needed to use it.
Holy crap!
Yes, and then I had this massively thick 240-volt extension cable so that I could go to my brother-in-law's and plug into his dryer and throw the cord out and then string it through the driveway so I could charge up so I'd have enough to get back home.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a charge warrior, let me tell you.
Yeah. I only had 40 miles of range, and so yeah, getting around. So yeah, we were just talking about how easy Tesla is. Yeah, definitely.
You didn't have a workout for your mobile charger. Like if that thing wasn't 65 pounds, I bet you they could have got another mile or two out of it.
That's true. I had to take it with me, so yeah, that lowered my range. But then again, it meant I could get home, so it was worth it.
It was required regardless. Very good, very good. Well, if you haven't already, please follow us through the week on our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life. You can follow us on our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1, and we'd like to thank Patrick for monitoring that. We'd like to thank Casey, of course, for making our live presentations work every week. And with that, we will get together next Wednesday and find out what's happening in the Tesla Life.
I gotta say, a future free from fossil fuels.
Yeah,
got it in.
Electrify all the things.